My name is Arjit Mahal. I live in New Jersey. My ancestral village is Mahal Gala in Punjab, India. My father, Sardar Piara Singh Mahal, was an engineer, a humanitarian, a Freemason, and an artist. He was born in the village Mahal Gala of Punjab. While he was working on his job and different assignments in India, he used to often go back to the village and enjoy his time in the ancestral place. In 1952, he decided to buy a Rolleiflex camera and an 8mm movie camera. And with that, he decided to go back to his ancestral village, spend a few days there, and capture the life of the village at that time. This footage is educational and historic because that way of life no longer exists. Mahal Gala was founded in early 1700s by four brothers, Saju, Goda, Desu and Gaila. I am descendant of Saju Patti or Saju lineage. The legend has it that they came out of Hisar and they found the land to be very fertile here in this area. They settled down to cultivate the land and raise their families. Mahal Gala has survived for the last 300 years. It was always a self-contained economy because there were farmers, there were carpenters, there were blacksmiths, and all kinds of crafts people existed in this environment. This way of life existed for about 250 years. But for the last 50 years, the way of life dramatically changed because of modernization and the industrialization of India. Therefore, the footage my father took back in 1952 is a time capsule of what the life in the village was like. My uncle Ranjit Singh, who we called as Chacha Ji, used to farm the fields, and they would irrigate the fields using the Persian wheel system, which is also called halt. There were these buckets called tinda. They would go up and down in the well, and the camel, as it goes around through the gears, it would pull the water out through the channels and irrigate the fields. As a child, I would sometimes sit on a little platform and go round and round behind the camel because it was fun. And the rhythm of the water flow, I can still recall what it sounded like. There was a second irrigation system in the village, which was an old from the Indus Valley days called charas. A leather pouch was dropped into the well, and through a rope and pulley it was hooked to the yoke on two oxen down the slope. So one person would sit on the rope and manage the oxen, and as the water came up, another person would take the pouch, spill it into a housing, and then the water would be channeled into the fields. Now, being that it was a very monotonous, repetitive work, the person who was riding, just to amuse himself, would sometimes say, "Oh Rabba Beli, oh God, you are my friend." My father had decided to go to the ancestral village for a few days. So my mother, myself, and my sister, from the city, we came in a train to the town called Bunga, which is about 2.5-3 miles from Mahal Gala. And the way of traveling was to get a horse-driven tonga, and that's how we arrived to our village. some of the memories I have as we arrived in the village was one of our ancestors was on an ox cart going somewhere, and then there was a husband and wife with their children mounted on their shoulders. They seemed to be traveling from one village to the other. And then there were a whole bunch of ladies who had these black, what we call as kagras, gowns, and they were going to mourn in somebody's family, so which in Punjabi we call it makane chaliyan. There was a primary school in the village where the master would sit on the chair and the children would be sitting on the mats. And for writing tablets, they had these wooden pieces where they put some chalk, and then with ink they would write, and after the lesson was finished, they would go in the village well and wash and then re-chalk it again. And of course they played marbles at the break time. I was too young to be playing with them, but this is what way of life was back in those schools. The students who went through this school, later on some of them became doctors, engineers, and also migrated to different parts of the world. My aunt Masi Iqbal Chima is wearing sagi and paranda, a decorative thing the ladies would wear for special occasions such as weddings. And then there is a young man wearing a kenta or a necklace for a special occasion. Then there were other aspects in the village, like a wedding of an underprivileged people coming from another village on the ox carts with the band playing in front. And then there are children running around because they're collecting coins which is being thrown as a ceremony. Once a year, Ram Leela was celebrated in the village. Now Ram Leela is a major Hindu festival where Lord Rama fights with the demon king Ravana to save his wife Sita. The actors would be the village folks. They would dress up in the costumes of per the legend, and then floats were created to show what events must have happened back then. The village folks looked forward to this for months, and the actors and the musicians were invited from different villages as well. People immensely enjoyed this event. My chachi or aunt Gurbaksh Kaur, she would make the food for her husband who's farming the fields, and she would carry it at lunchtime to the farm. My chachaji Ranjit Singh, who is plowing the fields at that time, would stop and take a break. He would sit down right in the fields, and the food would be made up of makki di roti. These are corn, flour and saag. This is what they would eat while the oxen would be resting. And interestingly, the oxen had names also. One is called Balla and the other one is called Markunda. I remember Bihari Taya, even though he was a family servant, but we used to call him Taya and uncle. He was originally from Bihar. So he would help in all the different chores of the farm. For example, he would cut the barcine. This was the fodder for the domestic animals. And then he would also cut the sugarcane, because the process of sugarcane started with cutting the sugarcane, taken to what was called the belna. Again, the camel is going round and round in the gear mechanism called belna, or the rollers, where the sugar cane was crushed. The juice comes out, which is called roe. And then they would take into a small hut. There was fire and a big kadai, or a container, where the sugar was cooked. After cooking sugar, they would essentially make shakar, or which is called brown sugar, and gur. I remember as a child tasting the freshly made shakar. I can still taste that in my mouth. However, now as an adult, grown up, I'm paying the price because I have to watch my sugar. I remember looking at the village, all the homes at that time, and I would see some of the elders taking the pathis, or the buffalo dung patties, to put up on the roofs to dry, because they were used for fuel in the kitchen. And then the village had a lot of peacocks. We would throw the grains. It was fun to see them fly in, eat the grain, and go away. Ladies in the village would get together. They would take their wash, the clothes, to the village pond. There they would wash the clothes. Also, they would take a bath from the village well next door. My father would not dare go near, so all he shot was these ladies have washed the clothes and now they are bringing clothes back home. In addition to the sugarcane crop, cotton was a very important crop in the village at that time, because the cloth was made right in the village. My mother Narinder Kaur and my chachi Gurbaksh Kaur, they are picking the cotton, and I just happened to be just playing around. Then the cotton was brought home, and the ladies in the afternoon would get together, get their spinning wheel called charkha. They would sit down together and create the thread from the cotton.
Mama te tiya rale, baithiyan
This was also a great opportunity for them to catch up with the gossip of the day. So this was, in a way, a social event while they were being very productive. From our visit to Mahal Gala, we came back to Bunga because we needed to go back home. I found Bunga to be fascinating because there were a lot of things going on that doesn't happen in the village. There were the people selling bangles that was quite dazzling in colors. A lalari, a guy who was dyeing the turbans in different colors and hanging them on ropes. And then there was a newlywed lady trying to take a bus. And then there was a gypsy family carrying a little child on the back. It was quite fascinating. Finally, my father and all of us, we took the train back home. As I think of the lunar eclipse in the village, burning red, a grahan, and its reflection in the village pond, I can't help but think of what a poet said. This is something what my father would have said. After we are gone, our memories will be talked about in gatherings. The seasons will be looking for us, but we don't know where we will be. हमरार बाद महफिल में अफसाने बयां होंगे, बहारें हमको ढूंढेंगी, हम न जाने कहाँ होंगे.